I'm Daniel Rivera.
And I'm Kristine Bleckman. And we're here to tell you a little bit about our house hunting experience.
Her house hunting experience.
Mine, actually. So, Dan and I have been dating for about a year. Well, it's a year for me, but not for him.
Nope.
Go figure.
No.
We've been dating for about a year, and I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and
I have an 11-year-old daughter.
And so we're planning on moving in together when the time is right for the girls. And we both rent right now. And we assumed that we would find a place together to rent when the time was right. But then my circumstances changed a little bit, and I'm in the position to buy a house now. So I have Dan involved in the process because I'm hoping that Dan and Aiden move in the next few months.
I have never had a house hunting experience prior to this. I grew up in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, in the Williamsburg houses, and I moved to the Bay Area.
And I've owned a house before, but I looked for it 10 years ago, and so it feels like I'm doing it again for the first time. But I have a great agent, and I have a very obsessive personality. So where it takes some people months and months and months, everyone who knows me knew that I would be signed and done within a couple months, which was the case. So,
and every piece of advice that she got was, take your time. These things take 6 months to a year. You will find the perfect home. You will have disappointments. But no, she didn't.
So first we were kind of all over the place because I thought I definitely wanted to maybe do a townhouse because you get more bang for your buck inside. But then I heard so many HOA nightmare stories.
And I was not into the townhouse until I actually saw what internally, because externally they look
like
all the same. They look like apartments, and I was ready for, if we're going to move into a home, I want something with its own unique style. I wanted something that...
So pretty much whenever I brought up a townhouse, he was kind of like, we can do a single family home. I, on the other hand, was more of a realist with the budget. I kind of knew, because I stalk websites like Redfin and the MLS listings, that I knew what I could afford and that it probably was going to be a townhouse. But he was actually right. My agent kept saying, be patient, the right one will come along, and that's like telling me, I mean, that's ridiculous, so I'm not going to be patient. So finally, one popped up in my price range and in the neighborhood I wanted, and it popped up on the MLS on a Sunday morning of a holiday weekend. And my daughter, who gets up at like 6:30 in the morning, I checked the MLS, it popped up, so I called my agent, or I texted my agent at 7:15 in the morning and said, I want to get into this house to see it this afternoon. And he said, okay, fine, go drive by the house, see if you like the street. And I said, little did he know that Cameron, my daughter, and I had already driven to the house and searched the perimeter of the house on foot and looked through all the windows. So I told him, well, of course, I've already done that. I want to get into it. So Dan and I and Derek, our agent...
By the way, how many houses had you put an offer on already?
None. Formally. But I
how
had told you...
How many did you have dreams of putting in a...
Two others.
This is within 3 weeks of starting the process.
Whatever. Our schedules, and we went and saw it that day. And I was different in that house. I was quiet. You remember that? And I sat down on the fireplace afterwards, and you're like, are you not feeling it? And I was like...
Normally, she walks into a house, and within 5 minutes, I have to tell her, take it easy. Yes, it's nice, but you need to think about everything involved and not just sell your heart completely because of what you see in front of you. I mean, she's a go-getter. So if she sees something and she wants it, she's going to go get it. And that, while it's a great attribute in a process like this, sometimes the reins need to be pulled back a little bit.
Better that I'd written about Cam and me, I didn't think was going to do a lick of good. But in the end, it did, and they ended up taking my offer.
She likes to milk the single mom, and I have a 3-year-old daughter thing a lot, trust me.
No!
Absolutely.
He wanted it pretty much like we had a budget that we don't. Like, he wanted to pretty much, not necessarily that it needs to be all done up, but, you know, he had imagined himself in like a 2-story house, with a big backyard.
I just wanted to come downstairs on a Sunday morning.
He has this dream of coming downstairs on a Sunday morning.
Letting the ladies sit upstairs and rest
me and our daughters, I'm assuming.
While I cooked a nice breakfast on really nice and upgraded and modern.
Right. So he watched a lot of TV as a kid,
and,
but living in Brooklyn, he didn't have those things. So
now that I'm in a position to actually get them, I thought, why not? And
my dad, having contractor experience, would always take a house that is rough or completely horrible and redo the whole thing. So when I walk in, I'm pretty good at just looking at the bones of the house. The problem is that I forget that you need cash to make those improvements, and I don't have
So she wanted to flip this house, but not to flip it.
But
she just wanted to
live in it. But I don't have a handy boyfriend.
Wow.
Nor do I have the cash to pay other people to do it. So I realized that I needed to get something that was at least livable until Craftsman. But unfortunately, Craftsman means no space unless it's been gutted and added onto. I like the character. I am somebody that walks in and
she likes to walk in and see things like
the molding,
chair rails and crown moldings that are beautiful. Shut up! Who cares?
Yeah, I do. Crown molding and I like the window casings and oh my gosh, it has original doors and that sort of thing. And he doesn't really care about that stuff.
No,
but
because
I
have never had experience with things that are unnecessary. But
on this side of the tunnel, in California, on this side of the tunnel, there isn't Craftsman space. There aren't bungalows or Tudors or whatever. It is a 2-story stucco or a 1-story stucco in track housing. And whether you're getting a 60-year-old house or a house built in the 80s or a very new one. Well, I didn't want the 80s house and I can't afford the new one, so that leaves me in the 50s rancher, which is the style I like. Nice neighborhoods. So it has to be nice neighborhoods. Wait, can I talk? Nice neighborhoods. And
what is a nice?
I notice. Well, he doesn't know what it means because he grew up in Brooklyn, in the projects.
Brooklyn is the 4th largest city in the country,
God, okay.
So it has.
This is why it's taking 12 minutes to interview this. So we talk about that. The area that you grew up in. So I didn't want a main street because I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and it bothers me when I hear cars go back and forth. I grew up in quiet neighborhoods.
I will be honest.
He grew up in the city. Neighborhood safety. If it feeds into a school that I don't like, I'm a teacher, so I know the ins and outs of all the schools in this area. And
what she really means is she wanted to know every single neighbor that lives next to her within a, 150-yard radius.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought you make your home what it is if you're happy with your family, and yes,
I'm gonna vomit.
Neighbor.
So that would be kind of a deal breaker. I could literally drive up to a house and say, nope. And there were several that Derek took me by, and I was like, nope, won't even go inside it because I don't like the neighbors that lay on either side. I don't like that. Looks like it backs up to a busy street. Not going to happen. So those were deal breakers.
I did. No one really paid attention to them, but I really wanted 2 bathrooms because I'm a male living with 3 females, one being an 11-year-old going on teenage years, and the other being a woman with some weird quirky stuff like needs the lights off while she's doing her hair and her makeup in the morning before she goes to work, which means that I have to step out of the room because I can't do anything with the light off. So 2 bathrooms would have been key. Okay,
wish list.
If she doesn't interrupt.
Wish lists. Garage. Backyard.
2-car
that
garage.
Is somewhat landscaped already because I know how much landscaping costs. 2-car garage, yeah. Central heat and air. Preferably hardwood floors. He wants carpets.
I wanted carpets. Grew up with linoleum.
Grew up with linoleum. I probably don't have linoleum.
Like the softness of the carpet.
Linoleum. No.
Here.
And
proximity to public transportation.
Well, let's not care about that. He does. Yes. I guess since I love you, I should care about that. Proximity to